Church. What they say, you're gonna be late to your own funeral.
That's what it is.
Is that what they say? Say we're gonna be late to our own funeral.
Hey, we late to concerts. We'll pay $150 to go see our favorite comedian. And then show starts at 7. We'll show up at like 7:30, 7:15.
And we don't pay how much?
150.
150.
Spend all day getting dressed, getting our hair cut,
everything
all day.
And still show up late. That's my people. What are you gonna say?
Did you see as we talk about things that are happening in the community, did you see or hear that Kanye is running for president?
I heard that, but I didn't know if it was real or not.
And then today they announced that I saw it on TMZ that his family is concerned that he may be having another bipolar episode because I guess the party that he's gonna run in is called the birthday party, and if he wins, it's gonna be everybody's birthday. I have no words. When I read that, I was just like, when I read it yesterday that he was running, I was like, that's crazy. And then today,
I haven't got that far. I haven't.
Yeah. Hold
on now. Let me make sure. Okay. Let's make sure my streaming settings, everything's good. Okay. Make sure we're good over here. Can everybody hear us? I know there's a little lag. We're good? Are we good? Let me check it out. Okay. All right, cool. Yeah. All right. Now, so now what were you saying?
No, I was just saying it was just about the whole Kanye thing. It's been crazy since the last time we talked, like all the things that was happening,
right?
From, different Fortune 500 companies giving money, or giving resources to the Black community, Black and brown community. I'm looking at some of the things that's happening. Even in the sporting world with Washington Redskins and the Cleveland Indians now are talking about changing their names. The stance, or if you want to look at it the other way, the lack of a stance that President Trump is taking in this, really a crazy atmosphere that we're living in, right? So it's so scary that you just don't, and then we're still in the midst of COVID, right? So all these different things is going on.
Listen, we're here in Florida, okay? And as you imagine, we got curfews. They shut down the liquor stores at 8. Curfew at 10. You got to wear a mask to go inside the gym.
Right.
I was speaking with someone in New York. They started opening back up like the synagogues at 25% and 50% capacity. But I mean, just like right now, that COVID is, for us, it's growing even more, more apparent.
I was in California visiting my daughter in LA, couple weeks ago, in Hollywood, Beverly Hills, and out in that area. And everyone was respecting each other as far as the social distancing, which was nice. But each day I was out there, the amount of coronavirus cases was still going up, like thousands each day. It was like, okay, 4,000 on Thursday. On Friday, it was at like 7,200. So the day I left, which was a Sunday, at the airport, we were sitting there and the governor announced that in Los Angeles, all the bars were shut back down, right? That same day that they had shut the bars down and everything else. And, and that I guess now they're back to almost, a full shutdown, unless it's considered essential business, right? So it's just a lot going on in the economy. I have friends that own nonprofits, and they're saying that they're concerned about a lot of their nonprofit businesses going out of business because they're not getting the funding from the state that they live, where they live, that they're expecting to get. So there's going to be a lot of people out of work. And, you know, I guess they even started, I heard yesterday that the federal government has now what's called a COVID unemployment, which I'm not sure what the amount is, but if you can't find a job, now there's on top, you can just go and apply and everyone can apply for COVID. This was in New York State, but it's just a lot to stomach, you know, and a lot to try and think as a business leader, like what is our next step, right? Like what do we do to make sure that, you know, we, you know, retain and actually can grow our business in the midst of all this.
Right.
You know.
Right. How was the experience when you went to Washington?
Oh, that was crazy. That was
I mean, you know, that it was that same week that you were going to Washington that we spoke.
Right. That was the by far the best experience, one of the best experiences of my life. And it was Capitol Hill was closed, but just to be able to speak in front of, you know, Senator Schumer and Gillibrand and talk about the, you know, and our local congressman, to speak about what was happening for businesses, not Black or brown businesses, but all small businesses, and my speech was about was just why the PPP was important for us, and especially in a deprived area, right? And so my corporate office is in Syracuse, New York. So we are high in poverty. We're one of the top 10 in the country in concentrated poverty. So the PPP was much needed for so many different reasons, right? We were just about to turn the corner for so many different businesses. We're considered now a drone city. We had retail that was coming in. Amazon is building a warehouse here. So before pre-COVID, things were starting to look like, you know, unemployment was going down. The city, you know, had a nice buzz to it. And since COVID hit, it's almost like we're right back to where we were. So it's back to, how do we grow? Where do we go from here?
You said that you're drone city. What does that mean?
So the federal government gave a certain amount of money, and the state of New York gave a certain amount of money, 500 million. The state of New York gave to Syracuse to build these drones, manufacture drones for the rest of the country. So we're considered a drone capital. We have a lot of companies from all over the United States that have came here to open up, you know, drone manufacturing. And so that's one of the things that, you know, the next wave of manufacturing, that Syracuse used to be known for GM. We were big in manufacturing for cars like Chrysler and that. And for the last 15, 20 years, when all the auto manufacturers pulled out of Syracuse, it was like, you know, the city was in that, where do we go from here? Like, what do we do? So there was, it really affected the Black and brown community, because we had generations of families that, you know, their fathers, their uncles all worked, grandfathers all worked for, you know, the UAW. So this is hopefully the next wave, that's drone manufacturing.
Okay, no, okay. And then when you say concentrated poverty, can you explain what does that mean? Because I think everyone believes they have poverty in their cities.
Right. So we all have it, right? So many cities in America have it. So concentrated poverty, where we have areas within a city. In Syracuse, it was called Ward 15. And Ward 15, you can look it up. It actually split. There was a divide that happened back in the 1960s that separated one side of the city to another side. And it was basic redlining, right? And so it pushed all the poverty, all the community of the Black and brown into one area. And if you drive in that area today, you'll see a bunch of blight homes, blight being boarded up homes, businesses that are out of business. So pre-blight or pre the 1960s, Syracuse was flourishing. There was a lot of stuff going on. It was actually called the Salt City for so many reasons. That was, you know, pre my time, but that's what it was called, you know, because of the Erie Canal and all the other businesses that were here and thriving at that time. And when they put that divide that separated the Syracuse University, which sits up on a hill, and then the south side of the city, it really pushed the black and brown and the refugees in the one area of town, and all the money was spent in another area, and it really had a huge impact negatively on the city that we're still facing today.
Now, you're actually doing development out there.
Yes.
Okay.
So my first development project, I'm so excited. I had two partners, Gail and Emmanuel Henderson, and my one partner is from out of Washington, DC. We're doing our first, and this is going to be actually on the south side. It's our first mixed-use building. It's a 5-story building that we're building on the south side of Syracuse. We'll be creating over 100 jobs, both in the retail. It's going to have a business incubator. The 4th or 5th floor is going to be apartments, affordable housing apartments, 1 and 2 bedroom apartments. And it's going to be basically walking distance to the hub of Syracuse. So it's about 2 blocks from downtown Syracuse. So we're hoping to, get business professionals that want to live close, because a lot of the millennials don't want to live in the suburbs. They want to live close to the city and in the inner city. So we're trying to, when I say we are trying, the entire city of Syracuse, the developers, the present political administration is trying to grow some buzz as far as saying, come back to Syracuse. We're trying to change the image. But it's a process, and the process is what kills us. And sometimes it's too slow, as we all know.
No, I would agree. So you left Washington. Did you feel like they heard you?
Yeah, I definitely think they do. I had one of the congressmen, I'm not going to say his name, he was very moved. He actually said, Eli, he gave me his personal cell phone number and said, we need to continue this conversation and we need to talk more about it. And he wants to know what my asks are, right? Or what the community needs. So I'm going to take him up on that, and I'm going to challenge him on that. It's not going to be, I don't want to go to his office, and I told him I don't want him to come to my office. I really want to have a informal conversation where I can definitely tell him what needs to happen in order to help the inner city, right? Because we need jobs, we need better healthcare, we need education for our young people and for everyone, right? And
it seems like those conversations have never changed.
Yeah, because it seems like the conversations are always like, well, I'll get back to you. Let me see what I can do. Like, we're past that, right? We're past that political answer of let me see what we could do. No, we need action now, not tomorrow. The process has been going on for decades, right? We need it now, right? Our people need help now, today.
Sure.
And like I said to you before in our last meeting, it's okay to make people feel uncomfortable. Like, I'm okay with that. Like, make them, readjust themselves in the seat, so to speak, because if we can't, I'm all about equality. And if we can't, raise the bar, in so many different sectors, we're going to continue. I'm just tired, as all of our people are, right? No matter what color, we're tired of the conversation. We're about action, right? And I'm being an entrepreneur. We're all about action. We need to get things done today.
What do you think? You were mentioning about the Fortune 500 companies donating money. What do you think about that? I've heard different people's opinions on that. That one is, well, you can't just throw money at a problem. 2 is people want more than just money. I mean, I think money's a great place to start. What do you think?
Money's it's an incredible place to start. Number one, because we need money, right?
You need capital.
I never met
all small businesses, all the issues that they talk about with small business, regardless of their ethnicity, their background, their race, religion, capital is the number 1 need for small businesses, period.
Number
one. Like, that's the number 1 reason.
Start there.
Why they don't.
I hate when, Eric, this is what I hate. I hate when people say money isn't everything. Well, tell me one thing that money doesn't solve, right? Besides, like, if you had
love and all that kind of shit.
Yeah, like, we got to start there, right? Start with money. 2, so I'm happy that Fortune 500 companies, to your question, I'm happy that they're doing that. The second place we have to get to, and people are forgetting about this, right? This just can't be money just thrown at us, right? we need to have seats on their board, right? On these Fortune 500 companies, right? And we need to be intentional about seeing Black and brown people and women sitting on their boards, and so that the helping out the D&I person in their companies, the diversity and inclusion person is who I'm talking about, right? So we have more, 3 or 4 people that look like us on a Gap or on a Goldman Sachs or Lockheed Martin. It's going to make us all better, because now they know from looking within us and asking us the question, like, how can we help? We can give them a straight answer at that meeting.
That actually was one of my goals when I set out to do this. I don't know if I told you in the last call, but one of my goals was to, at some point, be so well known that one of these companies reach out to ask me to be a board member so that we can help them reach the small business community.
Mhm.
That was actually a goal of mine when I set out to do this.
Yeah, that's a great goal.
It was. I actually did. I wanted, like, General Dynamics, Northrum Group, SAIC, which, they've changed their name, but Booz Allen, I wanted to sit on one of their boards. That was actually my goal. Even
Has that changed?
Oh, no, absolutely not. No, it's never, no, it hasn't changed. That's what I set out to do. That's why when people ask me, why do I give away so much content? And I said, my plans, my goals are so much bigger than nickel and diming people for, free resources and free tools and common knowledge that I have from my own experiences that so I'll tell you this, which is interesting. Since we last spoke, I interviewed someone recently that works at, they're like, I think it was VP or director of a large corporation. And they asked me, do we have sponsorships on our podcast? They were ready to do sponsorship. So I know I'm getting close.
You get close.
Hey, Eli, I'm getting close. Hey, when people ask you to sponsor you, hey, brother, I'm getting close.
Very close.
Right?
Very close. Yes.
And I spoke with someone, I think it was 2 days ago, that this person worked for a Fortune 100 company for 20 years as an executive, like C-level. And she says, if you create a board, I would volunteer to sit on your board of advisors.
Wow.
And they come from Fortune 100 company, Fortune 100, not 500, 100.
100.
100.
So what's taking you so long to create that board?
Oh,
now let me say this, right? This is why I feel about this. Let me help you out with this one. You're a lion, right?
Yeah.
And you think about it, a lion knows when to hunt and when to lay back. So if you think about Africa, you think about the lion laying in the trees or in the weeds, and they're like waiting for the gazelles to come by. They're waiting for that one Fortune 100 company to come by, right? And you had that gazelle right there, and you ain't jump out and chase it and kill it. You only eat what you kill, right? That's what we say in business. You can only eat what you kill, and you had that. So,
look, we're gonna do something together, and we're gonna, that was just, I think, like I said, 2 days ago, and it's funny because as we're talking about these things, and you brought that subject matter up, it's interesting. And again, what was it, 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago we spoke, but it's, things are happening, man. Things are moving lightning speed.
Right. It's gonna continue. Like what's happening now, we just can't give up, right? And I don't joke about the lion piece, but like what we have, as far as we have came in the last 40 days, post George Floyd, and the whole Breonna Taylor and all the other, Black and brown people who have been hurt or killed by this present system, we can never forget their memory, right? And where we came from 400 years ago, right? Like this is a process that is not going to be fixed quick, right. But we have to be intentional. Like I use that word all the time. Like be intentional about what your ask is. Be intentional about what we need, right? And don't be afraid to say, this is what we need today, right? And then if they say, well, I can do this, we still are moving that needle, right, in the right direction.
No, I agree. I was type to make sure if anyone has any questions, they can reach out and ask. But no, definitely we have to be intentional. So what's your so now the new business that you started with the partners, we talked about it a little bit on the podcast.
Mhm.
Just give us a 60-second elevator pitch of what it is, the new business that you're starting now.
Yeah.
And what kind of, then we'll go into that a little bit.
Yeah. So I started a medical coding and billing company called Total Medical Administrative Services. And I started with a partner that's already in the medical field. The reason why I did that, Eric, as I told you the last time we spoke, was because I was already thinking about doing that in the last year and a half. I just didn't know when to pull the plug. And so when COVID hit, I just felt like, we needed to have I needed to have multiple streams of revenue, for one, and I needed something outside of the construction and development businesses that I was already in, right? Something in a totally different, to put my money somewhere else to make it work for me. So this new company, we already have a couple of different clients that we're working for, working on a couple large ones. So things are moving well. I couldn't be more than happier, than where we are, for being a 3-month-old company at this point in time. We have a great staff that we're working with, a director of billing and a great COO. And we're just trying to move the needle in that way. And, as like with anything else, no matter what job we get anywhere in the United States, we're just going to make sure that we hire from the inner city and from the communities in which we serve. That's what I'm big on.
What fascinates me is a lot of times when I'm engaged with subscribers and people out here that listen to the stories of persons such as yourself, they listen to myself. Mm-hmm. Medical billing is not a new industry. Mm-hmm. So how is it that there's still room or opportunities for new entrants into that marketplace?
Well, I did my research, right, for where I'm located at, where my corporate office is. I looked at New York State, how many MBEs, MWBE, medical coding and billing companies there were. And I could count them on one hand, right? And all of them were down in the inner city when I did my research. So that means when people think of New York State, they think of New York City and that's it. There's a whole bunch of other cities in New York State that's called upstate New York, right? So you have Rochester, Buffalo, Albany, Syracuse, to name just a few. So that's a huge area of doctors and physicians and clinics, and the list goes on, dentists that need medical coding and billing companies to come and do their work because they're too busy. And that's not including the other states that already have certifications in through either the NMSDC or right through their state development board for their agencies rather. So it just made sense for me to do this.
What would be the process that you would say or advise to someone new out here who's wanting to go into an industry which they may believe, it's difficult to penetrate, there's a lot of competition, I would never have a chance? What would you tell that person?
Yeah. Go. Do your research, right? Number one, do your research, understand the business, right? And then if you understand the business, you're going to make money, then just go, right? So I think this is what I tell people when I speak to in different areas and different arenas. No one's going to outwork. If your attitude is no one is going to outwork you, you can't help be successful, right? You don't have to be born with $1 million nest egg that you inherited from your father, your grandparents, or anything like that. You don't have to be the smartest in the room. I am not the smartest in most rooms that I go in. But one of the things that when I go into these rooms and sit in these boardrooms with other people, is I always look at them and I say, I know I'm going to work harder than you. I'm going to outwork you. That just comes from internal, right? That's nothing that you can buy. That's nothing that you need to read up on. That just means that you are going to put in a necessary work to be successful, right? And that's what I always I'm going to work harder than you. I'm going to grind harder than you. I'm going to be, as I just said to you, the lion in the jungle that's going to pursue every gazelle and work and win and kill that business, right? Because a lot of times what happens when, especially in the construction field, let me take this one step further. A lot happens a lot, and Eric, you'll probably agree with this with your background. What you find is that second generation, third generation, and fourth generation, especially third and fourth generation companies, the children who take over those businesses do not have the same work ethic of a first generation startup entrepreneur.
Right.
They don't have it, right? And if you see it, that gives you a completely different, benefit or win that you could go after to a client and say, listen, they might have X, Y, and Z that I don't have today, but I'm going to be in your face. I'm going to make sure that you as a client is happy. I'm going to give you that face-to-face interaction to make sure that you're treated as my top client every single time we come in here. And that's your attitude. And that's what not just your attitude, but that's what your business, shows every single day. Then you can't help but win. You outwork your business. That's your competition.
My podcast guest, Bobby Brown from Bronco Oil, he said the same thing. He was on 2 weeks ago. He's out of Massachusetts. And he said the same thing. He goes, Eric, when I went into the room and I was standing up all these large oil companies, they said I didn't have a chance because they had everything. They had the infrastructure, they had the money, they had the team, they had the abilities. He says, when I went there and I walked into the room, all the people that were actually leading the event, because he went out and shook their hands. He says they didn't have what I had, which was personability, right? I was humble. I told him that, the same guy you see here is the same guy you're going to see in the truck, the same guy you're going to see that's going to make your delivery. You're going to see one of my guys. You're not going to see a stranger make your delivery. And before the meeting was over, he had got a phone call that they were going to go ahead and award him the contract as opposed to some of the bigger companies out there, because they weren't going to get that touch. In fact, I actually just received a text message today from someone in my group that one of the contracting folks asked that. They asked, what things do you self-perform? And no, I agree with you. When I started this, and even now today with what I do, when people come on and I said, look, these people, they make a video or two like this. I go, they can't keep up. They can't keep up.
Yeah.
What did you say before? You said, Eric, you're interviewing everybody?
Yeah. Yeah.
like they can't keep up. It's impossible. Yeah. They can't keep up. Yeah. We have our marketing team is 10 people deep. Okay. So we're pushing out, 4 pieces of content every day across 6 platforms. We're going to bump up to 10 pieces of content a day. Like we're going to bury
it. And the quality of what you're putting out, your product or your service is going to be 10 times better than that, right? Yeah. So you take what they do well, right? And you bring that in, but then you already have the hard work. You have the hustle, right? So you put those two together and you're going to get the best interviewees that's out there.
Right. Yeah, no, I know. That's great.
The brand is going to continue to run.
Right. No, I agree with you. Let me check and see. Got some questions over here. All right. Someone says, Emmanuel, good evening. What's up, Emmanuel? Jamal, thanks for hosting Eli again. Just doing it. Do your research. Where can I go to learn how to do research for business I'm interested in pursuing? Okay. He says, where can I go to do research for businesses that I'm interested in pursuing? That's a good question.
So I will Google. I will definitely. That's a broad question, but
it's very broad. Let's pick a business. Let's pick I don't know. Give me a business.
So I'm right here, right? So it looks like, let's Google top markets for minority businesses, right?
Okay, there you go. Fair enough.
And then.
All right, so he's just doing a Google search.
Google search.
I can tell you a video that I'm actually planning on making as a result of what they're talking about now, and we're all starting to understand how large the city's budgets are for police. Okay, one of the idea that I was going to talk about in a future upcoming video that I'm not afraid to share of it now is if you look at, they're talking about the police are handling a lot of issues that deal with mental health. I think mental health industry over the next 10 years is going to boom. Because if they start reallocating a portion of those budgets to mental health and social workers, those are going to be industries that now, even though they're old industries, they're going to become the new emerging industries, I believe, because those are huge budgets, and even a slice of that pie is a big slice. And so for me, if I was going to make a bet, right, on a horse in a long race, I'd say I would actually probably look at who's handling. It's the same thing like we talked about with telehealth in the past. So when COVID hit, Eli, I made a video that talked about like 12 industries that I thought were going to just take off. And a lot of that stuff is happening today, right? I knew we are going to start doing like micro manufacturing, which was what we talked about. You're doing like with the drone stuff. But when it came to PPE and supplies, realizing the situation that we're in. But then I talked about like having vending machines that produce masks, that produce face shields, right? That you can go to a vending machine and you can actually bid your stuff. And I was at a hotel, probably what was the last holiday, Memorial Day or Labor Day? One of those two. And they had a vending machine that had masks, sanitizer, white, like they had all that stuff in the vending machine.
Right.
So for me, I think you can kind of look at the trend and what's going on and what are going to be the upcoming needs.
Well,
and again, I'm not, still done. I'll let him answer the question in his own way or why he was doing his research. I really do believe that no matter, some people are going to start to look at how to restructure their budgets, right, to include more social work, more mental health people on there. And I don't know if they're going to, and not necessarily going to take half away the police budget, but if they take away 5%, right, 5%, like in New York, what is it, $5 billion? 5% of $5 billion is 250 million, I think is the numbers. That's a huge amount of a pot of money that's going to be going to an industry that has not seen that kind of money, and I don't think ever before, right? Ever. So that industry to me is going to be one where it's going to really explode, and it's going to be a lot of growth potential for people to set up organizations that, just like the police they were going to set up organizations where they actually train. They have, I could see like in our communities we have people that do outpatient nursing, on-call nursing. They go out to your homes and they take care of the elderly. I can see some company having a group of social health professionals that answer the call, right, and fill those gaps. I don't see it being a 1 or 2 person thing where like the city hires them. I think the city will hire a contractor who staffs mental health professionals that then service those calls. And if they're alongside the police, or if the 911 reroutes them to the mental health workers, I see that as a new booming industry over the next 10 years.
Yeah, piggybacking on what you just said, and great points, Eric. But Emmanuel, the other one I would think of what Eric said is senior care housing. There's a whole, especially where I have an office in Syracuse, I have another office in Washington, DC. So I'm in Maryland and Virginia a lot, right? And looking at, when I speak to different people, that senior care housing is huge, and there's a lack of homes for the senior citizens. And there's a whole nother wave, I guess, that's supposed to be hitting in the next 5 years of more senior citizens that's going to be needing some elderly care. So that's either on the development side, you trying to build a senior citizen home, or as Eric just said, in the home health aid arena. That is something that there's always going to be an influx of new senior citizens that come up, right? So I think that is a knock 'em dead type business. So whatever business you choose to go into, you need that residual. Like what's going to be, there's going to need to be something, right? That keeps coming after it and keeps the money coming in. But that would be my biggest one, that senior citizen at home is in the homes, and also the care as I'm thinking outwardly about it.
No, I agree with you. Demetrius Walker says, started my project management certification training through vets to PM. If you guys in the project manager need some real world practice. Oh, wow. Demetrius, you actually work with my boy, Eric Doc Wright. Sweet. Love it. I love it. Jamal says, Eli, you started a business in a competitive market. Do you think that people you hire or the process that you created for those workers leads to the success of your company?
Yeah. So let me say this: 100% yes. But there's no such. What's his name? Demetrius? Is that who it was?
No, that's Jamal.
Jamal. I will say this, Jamal. There's no such thing as a great interviewer, right? So we could have the best questions. I went through from paychecks to ADP, like what questions to ask, and I Googled what questions should you ask on an interview and this and that. And I found that I was having a constant turnover. They were still with me for 8 months and then or to a year. And then I was like, wow, this person interviewed well, but the person who I interviewed is not the same person who I hired. I found out 3 months later. So I was actually I'll tell you what I've done. So about 4 years ago, I was at a Goldman Sachs event, and Sarah Blakely, who owns one of the top companies, as we know, in the country, she was speaking about how she turned her company around. One of the things that she does what's called community hiring, right? I wish I could take credit for this, but I'm gonna tell you exactly what she does. And also Steve Jobs did this as well at Apple. Basically, no matter if you're coming in as a janitor, let's take Apple, no matter what position you are coming into a company as, you would have to go through 5 interviews, right? So no matter who that person is, that person will get to know not only the company a lot better because they're interviewing maybe with a project manager, a senior executive, administrative staff, somebody in the field, whatever. And then those 5 people get together at the end of interviewing him 5 different times, and not all in one day, but you spread out the interviews, they said, because one of the things they wanted to do was see how much he really wanted that job, right? So that we started that community hiring, community interviewing process at my company, and that has completely turned around. So what that has done for us is everybody now has ownership when that person starts with the company on day one. We know who that person is, and they know automatically 5 people who work for my company, right? So now when they start, it's not a matter of, oh, how do I fit in, or what's the culture like? Yeah, they know, right? They've asked different questions to different people. They know a little bit about the company. So they're part of the family when they start. So if I was you, I would definitely do some sort of community hiring.
Well, how did you, but with the new organization, um, did you start with people already? Like, how did that work, right? Did you start from one person? You start with 5 people? It's something, it's brand new.
When something's brand new, then I will still do a community hire, right? I will have my friend or my family member. Maybe it's not 5, maybe it's 3, right? Whatever number you feel like is good for you, because even if you're the only person in your company today, you know that your first hire is going to be very important because they have to see your vision, right? So if you have a wife or a girlfriend or a boyfriend or husband or a cousin, explain to them what your new business model is, right? And tell them that you want to interview someone and do the same thing and be like, and then talk to that person and be like, listen, what did you think of them? But tell that interviewee that, listen, I want to make sure this is the right hire. This is what we do here. This is a culture. This is what we do here. And then they could be like, okay, this is different, right? I got to go on this many interviews. Obviously, if I get hired, I know they want me, and you know that they want to come work for you as well. So I think it's worked tremendously, for my company, and I would definitely recommend it for anyone.
Listening to you, the way that I see it is, if I were an employee and someone spent the amount of time to actually have me go through 5 interviews, I would think, wow, this is a real company.
Right.
I would think this company, they're the real deal, because for them to even take the time out and take 5 people's time, right? Whatever it is, 30 minutes or an hour of each person's time away just in an effort to try and hire me or hire the right person. That's a lot about the company.
This is a lot. And if you're doing it even for, say, for a company the size of Apple, you're doing it even for a janitor, right?
No,
What are you saying to that person who's the janitor? You're
right,
saying you're very important. Your
yeah,
position is just as important as a senior executive. We want
right,
to make sure you fit in, you know.
right. No, that's a very good point. I like that. That's a good point. Okay. He says, thanks for the follow-up. Eli's very resourceful. Shout out New York. Yes, many large firms, Amazon, Apple, Facebook, and Google all do the same. Okay, good stuff. Good stuff. No, that's great. So again, for someone starting out, this is something that I keep touching on, but I want to drill down the point. What is your view on city contracts and state contracts?
Really? You want me to say
Everyone
you
does
do
it.
my hair again?
Right. You know what? Let me tell you why. It's almost like, I think anytime I get an 8A person on, I ask them, I go, can you tell me some of the advice that you would give to future people, or some of some of the mistakes that people make in the 8A program? And 9 times out of 10, they're gonna say they got it too early, they didn't wait, I mean, that's just it's almost like I don't even but so many people. I could it's I will say this. James Altucher, I don't know if you know James Altucher. I follow James Altucher. He did a breakdown of religion, and he said there's some good things about religion. One is, when it comes to religion, there's a reason why they tell you to read the Bible daily, right? To read scripture, you go every week, because you have to reinforce these things.
Right.
Okay. And so for me, the way I feel about these particular issues, because people come at me so much, so often, that I have to drill back at them just as much, because it's like a quote that I saw is, you can't take advice for your $1 million business from your $40,000 a year friend,
That's true.
or your $30,000 a year P-Tech person.
Right.
And
Yeah.
again, I love P-Tech. I love P-Tech. But if the person has never ran a business, they've never hired employees, if they've only ever been an employee, it's really tough for me to listen to them,
Right.
and to try to combat the information that they're giving you versus the information that I'm getting from people like this gentleman on the other line, from like Lori Sales that was on my IG Live, from the Alaska Native Corporation that I spoke to my man Jeff, who built his business up, has got 120 employees from zero. It's like, it's just hard for me to really take the advice of these people versus the advice of all the people that I know that are close to me. So again,
I get it.
no, and I'm going to share this. And I'm going to share this because I want people, because this is a hot button topic for me as well. And I actually, I say this, and I'm sorry, I want you to say the answer, but I'm still going to share this, okay? Because this is important. So look, Mitch McConnell says he's not interested in sending money to states trying to take advantage of coronavirus, right? He says, let them go bankrupt. Okay, he says it here on a call, right?
Mm-hmm.
This guy here, he says, for all he cares, that the states could go bankrupt. And time again, what I want my people, I don't want you guys to be concerned about Mitch McConnell. I'm concerned about you. I care about you. I care about your businesses, because when you guys go bankrupt because the state didn't pay you or the city didn't pay you, and you spent all your money, all your savings, right? None of us are second or third generation wealthy. So you spent the resources of your family and friends and everybody else. It's really hard for me to help you at that point. So I'm trying to help everyone before they get to that situation. And I keep pounding this particular conversation, this particular message, just because I've seen it time and time again. And maybe someone didn't hear it the last time. Maybe somebody, hey, like John 3:16, you gotta say John, when you or praying over your food, still say grace. So you tell me what's your take on. I want to hear from you. I want to hear from somebody else different. Maybe the way you'll say it will resonate with people.
Yeah. So that's a great segue. First off, I say this: the I'll say it again. I said it in our last time we spoke. Doing state or city, any municipality work is a pipeline, not to riches. It's a pipeline to being broke. And I'll explain why. The state and the city are only going to award those contracts at the person who has 99.9% of the time if you're the lowest bidder. So you're bidding not to make money, right? Not sometimes to cover your overhead on what you, or not to make the amount of money you should be making because of the quality of work that you will be performing, right? So you may have a company that will do shoddy work and another company that does the best work possible, let's say as a plumber, right? But they have to now bid as low as a shoddy plumber and underbid him. But meanwhile, they have the best plumbers in the market or in that region, right? The state does not care. The state's going to say, well, you gave us a bid. We're going to hold you to that. And you knew what the blueprints and the specs and everything else says. There will be no change orders, or if you do get a change order, good luck, whatever, right? 9 times out of 10, you will not get a change order. So I'm just comparing that to construction. Let's even back up a little bit more. Like what I believe some human beings, I believe 70% of human beings are just result oriented, right? They don't want to go through the grind. They don't want to do the process, right? They see let's compare it to this. They see who Jay-Z is, right? And see him at this level. They see who Floyd Mayweather is and see him at this level. Kobe Bryant is up here. They see him at this level. They don't see that Kobe Bryant spent 20 hours a day in the gym, or Floyd Mayweather did 500 sit-ups every hour for 5 hours straight to be able to take punches from other world-class top-ranked boxers, right? Mm-hmm. They see a entrepreneur that they think is just like them, that makes 30 million, 100 million, 200 million a year in the same industry they are in. And they think that because they start their business, they're going to go from 0 to 30 million or 200 million based upon getting a state contract. They don't see all the other things in the peripheral that other entrepreneur had to do, right? That's never going to be equal to what you have to do. Now keep that thought, going back now to the state and local, right? We cannot just bid state. Like, so as an entrepreneur, you need to have multiple streams of clients. Like we talk about multiple streams of revenue, you need multiple streams of clients to be given to give your company money. So you need to work with Fortune 500 companies. You need to work with the healthcare and education. You need to work with the federal government. So if one of those arenas dry up, you still have money coming in from the other arenas. What I see, especially in our community, the Black and Brown community, especially in our community, what I always see is someone start a business today and it's like, okay, day one, in 364 days, I can go and apply for my MBE certification. Once I get that, I'm gonna be on my rags to riches. I'm gonna just grow and this and that. And then I talk to them 3 years later, I'm like, oh, yeah, it didn't, I'm out of business, or it didn't work out the way I thought it was gonna work out, right? And now they're stretched too thin. And this goes back to your original point where, you do not want to see, the federal government does not care. PTAC, if you take advice from someone, I'm not going to pick on PTAC, but let's just say anyone who doesn't understand the grind and what you have to go through to be a true and successful entrepreneur or business owner, you're going to be on the path to destruction, right? So that's my 2 minutes worth of $1 million game that I hope that, whoever's listening can, apply. Please do not put all your eggs in one basket is what I'm telling you. And if you got to pick a basket, the last basket you should pick is state and municipality work. You should try to build relationships in the private sector.
Why? Why the private sector?
Well, for so many reasons, but the number one reason is we need to get paid faster, right? Yeah. I need money in the bank.
I need money in the bank. I know
right?
cash flow.
So
Cash is king.
if you can pick up a phone and say, "Hey Bob, I didn't get my money, and it's Friday, and it's supposed to have been here on Wednesday," and Bob could be like, "Oh, I got your check sitting for you right here on my desk." That call can never happen at the state or at the federal government level, or you are not going to go pick up a check at a military base or at the state agency, any state agency board, right? So it's so besides the getting your money faster in the private sector, there's another thing called certified payrolls, that if you perform work in the state or in the public sector, they may require you to turn in certified payroll, which requires you to go out and hire somebody, especially as a startup company, to show that you paid this person at the appropriate wages. And those wages are usually 2.5 times of what you could pay somebody to do the work in a private sector. So you say that same plumber who you could have him run pipe and a regular job, right? Say at a Costco, you're paying him $22 an hour. If he's working on a federal site or on a state project, he's now getting paid $45 to $60 an hour. And you got to provide paperwork before you get paid that you paid him the appropriate wages that he was supposed to get paid. So there's a whole bunch more layers, that you got to deal with, and you got to hire now a project manager and an admin staff. And it's just so much simpler to go build that relationship. If you have the gift of gab, go talk to someone, go to these matchmakers when there's plenty of private companies that are looking for minority companies to work with, especially right now.
Where do they get that from, that advice to go start at the city level? Come apply for your MBE, your CSBE, your DBE. Where do they get that from?
From a city or state employee, right? That needs to check a box. That's like, I gotta fill this need, and I need more.
I need 2,500 of y'all to sign up now, so I can get my bonus.
We really don't care about your business. We just need you to sign up so I can say
so we can say we got 5% DBEs. Sign up on this list.
Right. Exactly. Right. Veteran owned, whatever it is. Whatever those goals are, that's what they're trying to check a box. So the biggest advocate of those kind of programs is always that state or city employee, to try and tell you, because they have to meet a goal or a quota, right? They just want to make sure that they can hit that. I mean, and I'm not saying all state employees or city employees don't care about your business. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is make sure you have a broad range of clients besides the public sector. That should be last. You should be doing.
I will say that they don't care about your business.
All right, Eric said it.
Eli don't have to say it. I will say they don't care about your business.
All right.
They don't get a check on Friday. Okay, they paycheck come on Friday.
That's true.
So they would not forego their paycheck to make sure you get paid. That to me says you don't care about my business.
Right.
Because what makes your paycheck more valuable than my check to get paid for my company? When I actually have expenses, payroll, and other things behind it, you only got to take care of your family. I got to take care of maybe 20 families.
Hey, I got one for you. I have gotten many checks in the last 10 years in business, right? Mm-hmm. When I look back and think about this, as you just said that, when I think about the worst experiences I ever had, where I needed to hire a lawyer, where I needed to basically almost have an out-of-body experience, I call it, and threaten somebody to get my money, has always happened in the public sector. It's never happened in the private sector. It's always happened that somebody was trying to circumvent, or I didn't get paid because of this, and it's always happened. Whenever I had to work with a McDonald's or a Bank of America or a Chase or something like that, or any Fortune 500 company, I call that project manager or that area construction manager and said, "Hey, this is what's going on. Can you take care of this?" "Yup, I got you." It's that simple, right? But when you're dealing with layers and layers of bureaucracy, you got to be careful.
Right. Someone just hit us up with an interesting question. Trent Chess says, "First, thank you all so much. I learned so much from these videos. Do you see opportunities with the African Continental Free Trade Agreement for U.S. contractors?"
I don't know enough about that. Do you?
I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know anything about that at all. Never
Yeah.
heard of it. But I will say that T-Vision Production says state and cities do not care. They're just a machine. This person actually works for a big municipality. He says, I thought I could make a difference over there. Not. I know who it is. They actually work for a municipality.
Yeah.
He's not speaking from like behind. He's speaking from somebody that's on the inside, that's behind the desk, that's hearing the complaints, that's like, hey, did y'all get this people check?
Yeah.
I'm like, what check?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Bob the plumber is calling about that check. Well, Bob got to wait till Monday.
Right.
It's 5 o'clock. I'm going home.
You know what I say? Right. It's 6 o'clock home. Bob's okay. Bob got plenty of money.
Yeah. That's what they'll say.
That's what I say. Bob's a contractor. Don't all these contractors are rich.
Yeah.
We just employees.
Right. Right. They have no sense of urgency of getting you a check.
No sense of urgency. No sense of urgency. So we're approaching an hour. I don't want to run too long. I appreciate you for coming on. Where do you see things happening in the future? What do you think is going to happen? And let's be specific. Let's say what your business is first and foremost. What do you think is going to happen? I know we all have positive outlooks, but do you see? I know that you just started this new business, so I don't know if you can see past that yet, or if you're looking for some things down the road into the future.
I'll tell you this. This is since we spoke last. It's been exciting, right? So for the total medical, administrative services, the medical coding and billing company, we have a client already in Missouri. We have one that's set up in California that we're going to be capturing. And then we have something else, another hospital that we're pursuing that looks like we're going to get in upstate New York. And that's just in the last 2 months, right? So that business is already going like this, right? And since then, since last time we talked, I got Chase Banks on the construction side for one of my companies. Chase is going to be doing a lot of renovations and new builds on theirs. McDonald's is also back full of swing. We're doing a lot with them. And also my biggest one that I just received this week was JD Sports. So JD Sports is well known everywhere else but here in the United States. They purchased Finish Line cash for $644 million about 8 months ago. So they're going to start renovating all the Finish Line stores and changing them over to JD Sports stores. They're out of England, as I just said, and now we're selected as one of their prime general contractors for the East Coast to do these changeovers. So there's been a lot. I think what's happened in these last 40 days, you are seeing more and more Fortune 500 companies. Notice I didn't say anything about any state or federal contracts that I might have received because I don't care about. I care about them, but those are headaches, right? I'm talking about these Fortune 500 companies because that's where we will start to build our wealth in our communities, right? I think that was what I was going to say. In the last 40 days, I believe you are seeing more companies be intentional, as I like to say, about searching, right? Spreading their net wider about how to work with Black and brown and women-owned businesses, right? It requires us to still make those phone calls to say, hey, here I am. I can do this. I'm here. I've always been here. But if you really want to put your money where your mouth is, tell me why you don't spend money with me now. Now's the time you pick up that phone and have that conversation even stronger, right? Now's the time you tell them and make that diversity and inclusion person go to bat for you when he goes inside that boardroom and says, hey, CEO, there's a company that we should do business with because they've been knocking on our doors for about 4 years now or 3 years now, and they deserve an opportunity. And these companies are looking for that, right? If there's ever a time, is now. We have to capitalize right now on this.
So 10 years from now, they don't look back and say, hey, what would I do? What was I doing in 2020 right. In the midst of when all these these things were being given out, and people were looking for people to do business with. They were putting out a full court press and saying, "Hey, come to us, right? We want the best people, right? And we're gonna, like you said, cast our net out wider."
Right.
And you sat back and didn't pick up the phone.
Right. You sat back. You waited. Well, I got my MBE certification. They got to call me. It's like the person gets their driver's license and think the car is going to show up in their driveway just because they got a driver's license, right?
Yeah,
That paper is only as good as what you use it for.
right.
You have to be a lion. You have to go hunt.
Don't forget the people say I got my 8A.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I'm in the hub zone.
I'm in my hub zone, Eric. What do you think about hub zone?
You gotta call me. I'm in the hub zone. They know I'm here. Nah.
Yeah, man, I always it's like the top 5 question asked by people. Eric, I'm in a hub zone. What do you think?
Yeah.
I think that you should go look for some business. All right. I think you should look for a client and people to give you contracts, is what I think, and not spend time focused on certifications.
The other, I was on a, I want to tell you this too, Erica, and I know you get this call a lot or this question a lot. A company called me this week and asked, how they should get into the 8A program. And of course, I went through the 10 steps you should have first, right? Before you even look to getting into the 8A federal program. Then finally I told them, like, they said, well, how do I get into the federal market? And I said, listen, you should do a joint venture or do a mentor protege with someone or subcontract. I said, there's companies out there looking for good companies all the time to work in that federal market space. And I think that going back to the process, right? People just have to understand you have to crawl. You know what I mean? And there's times like my medical coding and billing, I'm crawling right now on that. I don't know everything about it,
right.
But I know the process. I'm getting wins every day, right? Don't be afraid to say, I'm new at this. How can you help me? What do you feel like? What are your needs? And then when they tell you their needs, you go back to your office or you go home and you say, okay, this is what I need to do to make sure that this client is satisfied, right? But don't be intentional about how you can help them. But the company I was trying to help, I just had to tell them, going back to my original point, like, just try and partner. You see major companies like Verizon and Spectrum partner together all the time.
Right,
like
yeah.
it's not a bad thing to partner with somebody and say, let's go do this together and knock this out the box.
Right.
Better to get $1 or something than to get no money of nothing, right?
No, I agree. And I tell people all the time, there's many, many, many times where you don't want to be the prime. You don't want to be the prime on this federal stuff. Like, you don't want that headache, the pain, the paperwork.
Right.
Like, I mean, they're going to beat you up all the way down. You just want to come in and do your one job, right? And get paid for your specific job and out. Yeah, go on to the next project. That's it.
Right.
You don't want to try to comply with all this government rules and regulations of being a prime contractor.
Right.
And I know it's hard for people to see. It's like, nah, Eric, but I have my own company. I said, it's not about having your own company. It's nothing about that, right? Because these opportunities are sometimes they're even too big for the big companies. So what makes you think that that you are any different? Because Eli, you and I think we messaged out on LinkedIn. It's like, hey, that's what the big boys do.
Right.
A joint venture, Boeing joint ventures, Raytheon joint ventures, Lockheed Martin joint ventures.
Right.
They have 30,000 employees, 50,000 employees,
right.
10 billion in revenue, 18 billion in revenue. So, what is up with your, small business firm talking about you want to be a prime and you want to control your contracts and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it doesn't tie. So first off, you share the liability with another company when you do a joint venture.
Right.
Second, because all the work is bonded, or 90% of it is bonded, you're sharing the bonding, right, with another company. So, and the resources. So instead of using all your resources, all your people to complete a project, you're sharing it, right? So, I'm huge for joint ventures and mentor proteges and trying to understand and navigate before you jump out there with both feet in the deep end of the water.
No, that's good. That's good stuff. No, that's good. I like it. I like it. Anybody else? Let me check the screen real quick before we jump off. I don't see any questions on the screen. I'm looking back, looking back. All right. No, I didn't see anyone ask anything. It looks like, hey, what do we talk about? People show up late to their own party.
Yeah, to the concert.
To the concert, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Funeral. Now all of a sudden everybody that jumped in the room now. Look, by the way, if you like, I always forget this, but if you like what you're hearing, make sure to hit a thumbs up on the screen. Make sure to share the content, share the video with people out there, because again, by us sharing the content, liking the content, putting it out there to more people. One of the things that I would say, Eli, is when people ask about, going to the Phil Arena, send them back to me. When people come to me, I say, look, I've made over 200 plus videos that are free, absolutely free. I've got a book that's $12. I got a free course that's freaking 18-day course with 32 videos. You want to learn about the federal contract arena? Here you go. Right. And because I know you're busy and I'm also busy. And I said, look, I no longer, Eli, because so many people want to just talk to me about stuff that we've already put out there. I said, listen, if you have a question or something specific, tell me and I'll make a video response. That way everyone can hear the response, not just one person. Because not that I don't want to spend time one-on-one with the people out there, but I have a much more broader reach if I record the answer and put it out publicly to everyone to hear. And that to me is a much more effective way of getting the message out, because whatever question you have, it's highly likely that someone else is going to have that question a month from now, 2 months from now, 6 months from now. And so that's what I've done. And I would encourage you to do the same thing. If you just push them off, say, hey, look, go watch this guy on YouTube. You can learn a lot, right? Or even say, hey, look, tell them to watch your interview with me on YouTube, where you answer a lot of this stuff. No, I know, but I'm just, look, I really hate, because even sometimes, and I'm sure people have already reached out to you from the interview.
100%.
I know. I know it happens. I know it happens. But sometimes you're gonna get a few that are like, oh, how do I get started? And out of respect for you and respect for what we're trying to do out here, hey, listen, guys, I mean, it does take a lot for him to sit down with me for even an hour, for Lori, for any one of my guests to sit down for an hour. That's taking away time from their business and what they've got going on, which, I respect people's time. I know how valuable that can be. It might even take away from time from their families, which is even more important than the business, because, we're doing this stuff after hours. So I'm very respectful of people's time. And what I mean by that is, don't waste their time. No, the chance that you get, right? They said, what is it? You only get one chance to make a first impression.
Right.
Don't waste that asking them how to get started.
Right.
Don't waste your one opportunity, right, to talk to this guy. It's 3 multi-million-dollar business, well, 2, and he's working on a 3rd one. Your one chance to talk to someone who spent, I don't know, what are you at, 20 years in business now? 15 years? You spent all this time in business, hundreds of employees, and you're gonna spend your one opportunity to talk to him, and you're gonna ask him how to get started.
Hey.
I mean, my heart, look, I feel bad for you.
So this is what I'll say to follow that up. Like, I love being an entrepreneur, and this is the greatest feeling in the world. I love I embrace the failures, if that makes sense to you. Because the failures allow me to stand right back up the next day or the next hour and shake it off, right? The resiliency, the tough skin that you build, the calluses that you build. So when I go, as I said in the beginning of this interview, when we started talking, when I go in these meetings and I look across the room and I see other entrepreneurs, and I can see it in their eyes. You're not built like me. You're not as tough as me. You haven't had the experiences I've had to go through. You never walked in my shoes, right? You never seen the things that we've lived or lived the things that we lived, right? So as an entrepreneur, if that's my mentality is as I'm going to outwork you. I'm going to outtalk you when I get in this room. I'm going to, provide a better quality service than your daddy, your granddaddy, your great granddaddy ever could, right? You are just getting the benefit of what they passed down to you, right? This right here is what my parents and grandparents gave me, right? And so what I'm saying is being an entrepreneur affords me to help many people, right?
Right.
As they don't have to be a business owner, but I just love to be able to, give my 2 cents, and hopefully they use it and apply it, and not just today, but hopefully, over the course of their lifetime, because you don't have to touch the fire to know the fire is hot. Somebody said there's a fire over there and it's hot. You ain't got to walk over there to touch that fire, right? If I say this is a way, I had to learn from somebody, right? My first question when I got in business, I said, I'll just be happy to make 100,000. Show me how to make 100,000 and I'm good. I'm good. From that, I'm gonna have 10 homes and 5 cars. I realized 100,000, you ain't getting none of that with. I said, okay, I need 300,000. I was like, man, I made that in 3 months. Then I was like, and it just started growing, right? And then before you know it, you're not chasing the dollar, right? You're chasing the successes. You're chasing the smiles from your clients, your owners. You're just living. You're just experiencing life. And that's what you have to figure out, right? Don't put the goals, don't put all this stuff that you're chasing. Oh, I got to do 10 million. I got to do a 50 million this year. Don't put, what you got to do is do better than what you did yesterday. And your people have to do better, right? I'm not saying don't have goals for them and don't have metrics for them. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is once you get into the grind, you're going to realize that the grind outweighs the dollars anytime, because you're just going to be happy. I'm just happy to give back to the community, to give people opportunities and chances that they normally wouldn't get if they went across the street to work for a majority company that doesn't look like me. But I'm able to give them those same chances. For instance, I'm gonna say this last thing. We do now, the last 2 years, we instituted a 4-day work week, right? Just to attract even higher quality, better employees into our company. So you either have Mondays off or Fridays off, right? And and people love it. The other days you're working 10-hour work days, but it's just, I took away all sick days. So there's no more sick days. So if you're, not sick days, I take that away. I took away all personal days. So if you need to do something, have a personal day, you do that on Monday and Friday. I want to go house hunting with my husband. All right, you schedule that on Friday, right? If you're Friday, that's your Friday day off. So the overall, some people didn't want to do a 4-day work week. It was like maybe 5% of the employees didn't want to, but everybody else said, yeah, I definitely want a 4-day work week. And I did that only to show that work isn't most important. Your home life is the most important thing. Taking care of your family and your kids or your spouse should be your number one. Don't live to work. Don't live to work. Don't live to have to come to work for me, and live to take care of your family, and I'm a byproduct of that. You have to come to work, but you don't have to live at work every day.
Right.
So
no, I like that. And something else that you were touching on that you said before, that you are a person of second and third and fourth chances.
Yes. Yeah. So in every inner city, in every community, we have people that, family members, cousins, aunts, uncles that have went to jail or prison for things that now they are legalizing, right? Or for nonviolent crimes that, that other people would have been given breaks on, right? So some of my employees are some of those people. Like I don't judge a book by its cover. And some of those employees have been with me since the day I started and now are managers and have leadership roles within the company and run board meetings and run training sessions have completely, since their early mistakes early on in adulthood, have became pillars in the community. And that's nothing I did. I'm proud to stand alongside them. I stand right alongside them with their bachelor's in hard knocks as I do somebody who has a bachelor's from, an accredited college, right? So we fight together, we stand together, and we enjoy each other's company together. And we live to fight another day.
Oh, that's nice. T Vision says, how long did it take for you to put your first team together as far as workers, and what did you learn from that?
So one, we're always hiring, never stop hiring, because we're always looking, even during COVID, right? So the business dictates what the need is of the business, right?
I think the question is, your very first business, when you were cleaning basements back then.
Okay. How long did it take?
How long did it take to put together a team?
That was easy. It took one day. I got my first job, and I said to my buddy Andre, I still remember, I was like, Dre, you want to make $20 an hour? We got to go get some couches out this person's home and remove it. So if you don't know my story, my original company was called Sogon Trash Removal. And what we did was clean out people's homes, their attics, their basements, and landlords. So what we did was just that. We were similar to Got Junk and just cleaning out. And that's what we did, cleaning out people's properties. So I just called a buddy of mine, or a couple of buddies, and just cleaned them out. That's it.
So first contract, he hired a person to work with him.
Yeah, hired a friend.
$20 an hour. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. The question then, the second part of the question is, what'd you learn from that?
What I learned from that was that as long as you could pay somebody under the table, it was okay for me until I stayed as low key as possible, because I mean, like, and then it lasted, I remember this, right? Though you're gonna laugh at this, Eric. So we did one house. It was like, 4 months in the business, and he was a good friend. He still is a good friend of mine. We go into the homeowners. I tell the homeowner, I would always leave him out in the truck. And I'd be like, okay, yeah, to do all this, it's like $900 or $700, whatever it is. Take us like 3 hours to do it. Pay him $60. Now, mind you, he was always good with that $20 an hour cash, right? Yeah. But this particular time, the homeowner, this one house we went to, the homeowner came outside and was like, okay, it's like $825.
Right.
Then I gave him $80 for 4 hours worth of work. He said, what? I lifted as much as you, and you only gonna give me $80? Like, what? I said, well, I got the gas and the dump fees and all this. You understand overhead, I got the insurance. Right. Like, man, come on, man. Come on, Eli, you gotta give me more than that. Come on.
Yeah.
I'll give you a tip. Here's $60. You know what I mean? After that, I was like, well, I can't use Andre no more. I gotta go to my other friend. Start bringing.
That's funny. I like that.
So what I learned from that, to answer the question, when you get a check, any check, the average employee does not understand the overhead, the cost to run a business. Even my kids, when they come in the office, they might see a check for X amount of dollars. They might be like, oh, you made all that? No, I got to pay subcontractors out of this. I got insurances. I got marketing budget. I got this and that. They don't understand how quick that money goes down as fast as it is. And you could compare it to their weekly paycheck. When your kids see it, they think that you made this money. They don't understand. No, you got to pay a mortgage. You got, cable, everything else, power bill, and everything. But yeah, that's my funny story in regards to that. But,
all right, he's laughing at you. One last question, and then we're gonna let you go. How do you stay resilient after 100% failures in government contracting?
How do I stay resilient in what?
It says after 100% failures. This person, I guess they're saying they have 100% failures in government contracting.
Well, I don't have 100%
how would they stay resilient?
I
guess because you were saying that you learn from your failures and that you embrace your failures.
Right.
The question says, well, how do they learn if they've had 100% failures?
I gotcha. Just stay.
I'll tell you what, I'll start. Let me start.
Okay.
I don't, first of all, I don't believe that you had 100% failures. I believe that you don't recognize some of the wins. So I really find it difficult to believe that people have had 100% failures. And I'll give you an example. Yesterday, I was on IG speaking with someone who was trying to help a company win some contracts. Every opportunity that they brought, the company said, they're not interested, we're not interested, we're not interested. So he says, Eric, look, I keep failing, I'm going to quit. And I said, well, aren't there other people in the town that do the same kind of business? He said, yeah, we're an industrial area. There's 20 companies that do that. I said, why don't you take them those same opportunities? You've done all the research, you've done all the homework, you know the jobs inside and out. Take it to someone else. And he's like, oh, wow, I never thought of that. But from his perspective, he had failed 100% of the time because he was only focused on one client or one particular opportunity. And like, what we talked about earlier, you've got to have, multiple pots to pull from. And so his perception was that it was 100% failure, when in reality, he really had one failure, right? And a whole lot of success. He just didn't carry that over to where it would be viewed as success. He was just focusing on one person or one individual that kept beating them down, right? And giving him the impression that he was having failure after failure. And so that's my take on it. But I'll let Eli answer it in his way.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. There's successes in everything that we do, especially in business. It may take, and I'll say this, when we bid a job, do we hope that we win? And then do we expect to win, right? So we hope we win every single job. Do we expect to win every single job that we bid or send a proposal in? No, that's unrealistic. So you have to stay, when you say resilient, you just have to stay as the owner, especially as a leader of your company. You have to stay, equal, level, stay in the moment. Don't get too high if you win, don't get too low if you lose, right? Take that, if you lose, take that as a learning point and take that and go into your boardroom with your employees and go back over your bid or whatever it is and say, how do we lose on this, right? If it was a bid, if it was a performance issue in the field, there's a reason why you may have lost, whether it was quality or whether it was a product that was sent out to the job site or whatever it was. But I don't believe that, I believe that person wrote the question wrong, but I believe that they're a success because they're even on this, watching this, so they want to get better. So that's a success. They can look at and turn and say, listen, you're going to get better. So whoever wrote that question, I appreciate that question, but I know that you're going to be a winner just by the fact you're trying to get better.
Sure. Right. No, I agree. They're not giving themselves credit.
Right.
For the things that they are doing that are right.
Correct.
Yeah, no, I agree. Eli, listen, buddy, I'm gonna let you sign off. Thank you so much for jumping on, as always, my man. This is always fun. Yeah, no, I love it. I like it. And you're not afraid to speak out. You don't ask for a script.
Nah.
You're not like, man, look, what question you gonna ask me? I don't want to get, be stumbled on.
We're just gonna do it.
Right, professional courtesy, all this kind of stuff that people, come at me with. I'm like, listen, I don't know what y'all think I'm gonna ask you about, because it's your opinion, right? So if I ask you about Trump, that's you, that's not me. I mean, however you feel, that's, if I ask you about religion, like that's on you. But I don't ask those questions, but I don't know why people feel so afraid, apprehensive. I just find that, they're almost not genuine. So I have to say, definitely, I appreciate that from you because, it's like we just turn it on and talk, just, go back and forth and have a conversation. Yeah. And I think this is healthy.
Last thing I gotta say to you is go Florida State.
Nah, I ain't say that.
Go right. Florida State, let's go. Tomahawk chant, baby.
Yeah, right. They go, look, they gonna change y'all name too.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Change y'all name too. Okay. Y'all ain't gonna be Seminoles no more.
No, I might become a Gator fan now. If that helmet don't look right,
Kind of move up my head out the way.
Yeah, I see it. It's,
move my head out the
hey,
way.
but thank you for your time, man.
All right, brother.
Let's do this again, man.
No, always a
I
pleasure,
look
man.
forward to it, and it's always my pleasure to and it's an honor to be able to talk to you and kick it and answer the questions to those people out there. Just keep fighting.
Right.
Just stay the course and remain a lion out there, especially day to day.
Right. No, I agree. Someone asked, how do I connect with Eli? He's on LinkedIn. He's very active on LinkedIn, by the way. So if you're watching this, let him know you watched the episode with me, Eric Coffie, Govt Giants, and he'll definitely accept your LinkedIn request. I don't know if you check your messages on LinkedIn. Probably not. I don't know if you check your messages.
I have somebody monitoring it.
But if you do, I know if you comment on a post on LinkedIn, he will see that comment.
Yes.
So I always tell people that because I too not big into reading the inbox in LinkedIn because there's a lot of spam. But if you comment on my post on LinkedIn, I always see those comments.
Yeah. And every single post where somebody comments on mine, I always make sure you're getting every response is from me, right? So if you take the time to respond or send a message to me, I will respond back.
Right. And then your companies, Eli, we didn't mention them actually. Mention the two company names.
Yeah. So the one company is ESmith Contractors, the letter E, Smith Contractors. That's a construction management general contractor. The other company I have is SGTR LLC, and that's the federal 8A hub zone company that I own.
So you can find him at either one of those two companies. Look it up. And then again, like I said, on his LinkedIn profile, he's got all those companies. And then also on our website, because he was a guest of ours, if you go to govcongiants.com/podcast, you will find on there a actual description, a full description, plus a transcript from the interview as well. And on there, you'll see all the information. You can basically link to him through that particular site. So that's how you reach him. And you guys already know how to reach me. For today's show, though, we're out of here.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Be good.
Bye.